Hello. Hello, single moms, or as I like to call you, queens. Welcome to another episode of X and the Single Mom Podcast, and look for it as XSM. Well, today's episode is going to be timely, I hope, and the name of it is The Woman Beyond the Mom. Reclaiming your identity. Now, I want you to know and remember that you cannot pour from an empty vessel. You have to take care of yourself first. Actually, I want to share with you guys that I had some downtime, and I keep saying guys like I'm talking about my sons, but I am definitely talking about my single moms, my queens. I had some downtime because I'm not claiming it. I am subject to, from time to time, ever since I was in my 20s, migraine headaches. And I've had a series and the worst. And all I did was think about how can I get back so I can do the work that I love to do and talk to you and bring you another episode. Well, during that time, I came across a video from Aisha. It's been a big stink about Aisha Curry. Now, she is by no means a single mom, but she indeed isn't. But she got me to thinking about being a mother and a wife and a woman and what all of that means. So I want to be clear. I'm not trying to let my queens think that something's broken. It's not broken. And you can be multiple things. A mom, a wife. You can be all of those things. Sister, career woman. And it's about adding to yourself. Adding, or as I like to say, filling your tank back up. So single moms, when you're overwhelmed, you have to find a way to remember that you're valuable. You have to also remember that you got this. So this episode is just about honoring you and sharing. It's about sharing. And I want you to know that there is no sacrifice too big, and you still have space to dream and plan and evolve. So with that in mind, I'm going to get right into the episode. I'm thinking that a lot of times moms just need room to breathe. And as a single mom, queens, you have to learn to breathe. So grab a cup of coffee, tea, or wine. Get your journal or your iPad, because I know everything's digital now, your earbuds, and let's have an honest talk about how to reclaim who you are. We're not talking about going backwards, but growing forward, because you can add to who you are. So let's start with a little bit of truth. When you became a mom, it was almost like a miracle, and it was. I know a shift happened because it happened to me. You went from being called your first name all the time. I love my first name, by the way, Yasmin. My mother was so creative. But now, Yasmin, you don't hardly hear that anymore. Now you are just mom, mommy, mom. And sometimes I think that shift from your personal name does something to your rhythm. And I think maybe sometimes your energy fades along with it in the background. And that's what made me think about Aisha. But you don't lose yourself when you become a wife, a mother, and in this particular case for you queens, single moms, you just become more complicated and your life develops layers. So between all the deadlines, your quiet time, if your children are young, the diaper changing, the meal preparation, the cleaning, the cooking. So sometimes you disappear a little bit, but it doesn't mean that you the woman, disappeared. It's just some things inside of you got quiet. So remember, your identity as a mom doesn't mean that that's all you are. You are still a woman. It just means that you now have additional parts of yourself that didn't exist before, and so you have to learn how to express that. So with that in mind, I want to break down what I'm going to talk to you, queens, about into what I would like to call some small topics. First, let's talk about the guilt. A lot of single moms don't see that the guilt creeps in because they feel sometimes that it's wrong if you do something for yourself. Because I remember I used to feel so guilty, especially when my son's father didn't pick him up like he was supposed to on Friday night. So what I did is I made a pact with myself. I claimed Friday night just for me. So what you have to do, queens, is find out what works just for you. So sometimes if you get a sitter, I used to get a sitter and still be at home. It was a free night. And then you can think sometimes to yourself, you feel guilty. It's that little voice. I went out to dinner, or should I still stay home with the kids? Even if you're working, moms sometimes worry that they're supposed to be home with the kids. But listen, you can't pour from an empty vessel, an empty cup. Taking care of yourself isn't taking anything away from your children. It's actually teaching them balance and emotional intelligence. So what I want you to do is realize that you can get the bounce back in your step when your life seems to get a little heavy. All you have to do is try to minimize what I like to call the guilt trap. All right, I have another topic, and I want to interject my own talk to let you know that I'm working on newsletters that go along with what I'm talking about. So for this section, I want to talk about reclaiming your life without starting over. You can reclaim your identity, and it starts right here and right now, if that's something that you care about. So what you can do is reconnect with your interests. Like, what are you interested in? What did you enjoy? And I mean enjoy before your world became so busy. It may be dancing or writing or painting or writing poetry. And nowadays, queens, single moms, they are YouTubers and content creators. And it's so many different things that you do. And a lot of times, moms think all that has to stop. Well, I'm letting you know right here and right now, no, it does not. So please reclaim that space. Also, think to yourself, what is your purpose? Your purpose is more than just being a mom. It's adding to that. Sometimes we forget all the things we wanted to do when we became a mom and we become single focused. So you can build an additional path and add or bring things back without damaging the type of mom you are. And I know that social media with millennials and Gen X's and new moms are all in your head, but you have to take that into perspective too. But that's for a whole nother episode. So what I want you to know is this: reclaim your space, and you don't have to start over. It's okay to care about you again. Matter of fact, you need to care about yourself a lot more so you can care about your children. All right, I have another thought. And I always say this. Maybe I should just set the pause just for a minute. So if you're listening to me at home, I would ask you to close your eyes and for a second, ask yourself this: what parts of me feels neglected? What parts? And whatever that answer is, all you have to figure out is how to nurture those parts again. Maybe it's your health. Maybe it's your friendships. Maybe it's your creativity. Maybe it's some of your hobbies. Do me a favor. That's why I said get out your notebooks, get out your digital, and do this. Write it down. This week, that's your homework. That's what I'm asking you to do. I'm asking you to figure out what parts of yourself that you lost and how you can regain those parts. All right, I was thinking about something, and I want to also include some real life examples, but it's hard for me because I know that as a single mom, I work 2 jobs. I work 6 days a week. I work 5 days as administrative assistant, executive secretary / and I worked at my best friend's mom boutique every Saturday for 5 years. And as my children started to get older, I started realizing that they took up a lot of my life. And I kept asking myself, what do I do with myself now? Well, that's easy. Just go back to the things that you did before. Think about an online business. I know now women are much more creative. You can make candles. You can think what else you can do to make money. You can sell things. It's just so much more that you can do. So let's just think. What does reclaiming me looks like? Because when you say you lost something, I'm thinking you only lost a part of yourself. You did not lose you. You just became overwhelmed. So let's not be dramatic in anything we do, but let's always strive to be deliberate. I'm thinking that we don't have to separate the mom from the woman because both of them can live in the same place in time. For me, motherhood was one of the best things that ever happened to me. It gave me a strength and a confidence that I never knew I had. It gave me additional patience. It made me curious, more curious about life. So I want you to think about those types of things for me, please. All right. Now, I told you I was going to break this down like it was a workshop. And I want you to say this to yourselves. I'm not escaping, I'm expanding. I'm not evolving, I'm growing and evolving. That's what I meant to say. Not erasing. I'm still her, whoever that her is, just wiser, softer, and definitely busier. So here's your challenge for the week. Do one thing that reminds you that you're more than just the title, Mom. It could be something as simple as writing your own name down somewhere, especially on a journal page. I want you to start and ask yourself, what do I want to do from this point forward? What is it? Ask yourself that, please. I also want to thank you. Thank you so much for helping this podcast grow. I cannot believe how much just talking to you hopefully does for you, because it does a lot for me. So what I want you to do is I want you to reclaim the woman behind the mom. Do you think you could do that for me? And make sure that you give her the time and attention that she deserves. But you have to make deliberate steps. So until we meet again, I want you to take time to find yourself and make room for just you. All right, my queens, as always, you know me. I never, ever, ever like to say goodbye. I like to say so long for now. And remember, this has been another episode of XSM, X and the Single Mom podcast. You can reach me at my website, xandasinglemom.com, and keep those emails coming. That's xsmpodcasts@gmail.com. So long for now. So long, Queens.